Welcome to Love and Lightning. First comes love, and then comes lightning. I'm your host, Nicole Pelham. Welcome to a soul-charged journey where heart meets power and is transformed in strikes of lightning. All waters lead to the same place, love, and in an ever-expanding universe, stretching and unfolding, sending out waves of love and light, you are not a small part. You are an outsized part of the universe's plan. Here on Love and Lightning, we explore the intersection of spirituality, science, politics, religion, and the one thing we're all searching for, love and acceptance. The kind that reminds us that the universe made us perfectly and that you are in this moment exactly where you're meant to be. Get ready to be inspired with hope for the future, strengthen your path, and bolts of lightning to awaken your soul. Welcome to Love and Lightning. Let's get started. Oh my gosh, hello everyone. I'm Nicole and you're listening to Love and Lightning on Transformation Talk Radio or wherever you get your podcasts. I am so excited because today I have not just one guest but two guests. I have Benjamin Nelson, who is a spiritual music producer, and then we have Jacob Nelson, who is an artist, lucid dreamer, and author of this book, Dialogue of Dreams. Oh, dialogue in dreams. I'm dyslexic. That is going to be the biggest problem with this guest thing. I've been enjoying this book. He's been lucid dreaming since he's a child, which we will talk more about throughout the show. We were all raised in what I affectionately call the same doomsday religion. And we have all left throughout different parts of our life and then came back to or stayed and got very deep into spiritualism. So we'll be talking about our personal experiences today on how we grew up in that religion or cult or community, as you will, and how we got free from that and then how we're doing so far. So stay tuned. Hopefully, if you're having some issues right now, I just feel like this is kind of divine timing because we were supposed to do this episode 2 weeks ago, and the things that have happened in just these 2 weeks in the culture of America has been a grand awakening for many people. And I just think the timing of this episode is really great to discuss just how we did, how it is a rough road coming out, and then how you can be supportive as somebody on the outside, looking in on somebody who maybe you have been trying to break free for a while, and now they're coming to you being free, and just to remember that we are not doing the I told you so's, and some of the reasons for that. So we'll talk about more of that throughout the show. But before we get too into that, I wanted to make sure that we do our first segment, which is See the Helper. No, then you need to be the helper. The famous Mr. Rogers was the one that said, "Hey, look around and see the helpers." But he was talking to children. You are not children. So you're supposed to actually be the helpers now. So when you look around and you see problems, you're supposed to be the person fixing it, not looking around for other adults to fix it. I mean, if you're having situations where you're really needing that, that's great too. But we're the adults now, so we have to become the helpers. So with that, we're going to be showing one of our great, wonderful videos about good news. Hey, Nat, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Excited to be here. Let's show some good news.
Yay, Nat's our producer, and he's going to play a wonderful video for us.
If you need to cleanse your feed, here's what's going right. 2 more states are getting right to repair laws, which force manufacturers to make fixing tech easier by providing parts, tools, and documentation for electronics, with Washington's law starting January 2026 and Texas unanimously passing their bill and just awaiting the governor's signature. And a new study found that wildlife underpasses, which are tunnels under roads, are surprisingly successful at saving the lives of amphibians like frogs, toads, and salamanders, reducing deaths by up to 80% as the little ones use the tunnels instead of crossing over dangerous roads. And a small island nation called Samoa enacted a new plan to sustainably manage 100% of its ocean, along with 9 marine protected areas which protect habitats and migration routes for humpback whales, with big punishments for violations like illegal fishing. And Maze Daisy from our community is keeping books and art alive in their community with their super cool free book trailer. Who else is building a better future?
Oh, hey, Nat, did you hear any good news?
Good news that's been happening to me Well, I'm very happy that Cal Raleigh ended up winning the home run derby last week as a big
Right?
Mariners fan. That was great. Yeah, we love that. That's
That's
yeah.
fantastic. I didn't realize he was one of ours because I'm going to be honest, I'm a very fair weather fan with the Mariners, and I need them to make it to the World Series for me to actually like watch anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'll go to a game and I'll pay some money, but I'm not watching, guys. And my sister's like, no, no, that's our guy. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I might pay a little more attention now. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think I told you last time, it's just World Series. Come on. You were explaining exactly to the audience why that's true because we haven't been there yet, even though we definitely should have been. It's painful. Um, let's see. The right to repair law. I love it. Washington and Texas sometimes do that. We sometimes have the same laws going at the same time. Just a little bit of that libertarian streak in both sides. One of the best news I heard, I drove all the way down to Santa Barbara this last week. It was fantastic. Just me and my husky, 3 days down, 2 days back. It was really great. But on our last day back, we were crossing through Oregon, and I saw a deer and two of her fawns, jogging along the freeway. And I just, it was beautiful. And then my heart went out because I was like, how is gonna get these babies across the street. And I remembered, hey, you know what? She's gonna do it. And next year, there's going to be a road here, and there's going to be a highway down there. And then, of course, they talked about that in the good news, how much the wildlife immediately knows to use those wildlife bridges. They know to go on the bridges when they're up there, and the amphibians, they're showing that they learn how to use those underpasses. So we can really just fix a lot of these issues and take care of nature with just a little bit of care. Washington this year did a whole, I mean, this last decade did a whole bunch of salmon runs where they fixed a bunch of the water underneath the road so they make sure the fish could pass underneath there. That was millions of dollars to make sure that we had that. So just those little things, but oh, it was just so cool to see the deer. I saw so many wonderful animals. It was just really, really great. So, you know, driving to the West Coast was also really beautiful. I live in a really pretty place, but I have to tell you, there were a couple spots where I was like, oh, this is the West Coast is literally fantastic. Ben lives in Hawaii. He's one of our guests, and he probably will like little gush a little bit on that. And then Jacob has been in Japan, so he will probably have a few little wonderful stories to tell us about how beautiful it was. But not just the beauty of the road, but the people were very welcoming, and that was something that a lot of people worried from me, being a single. If you believe in race, being a single mixed woman driving down there by myself, a lot of people were worried, and I just met the most wonderful humans there. And we'll be talking about being raised in our cults, our religions. But one of the things I was told, my personal experience was told that you were all horrible. I was told that all of you deserve to die, and not in just like a snap your fingers way, but in the revelation way, where you're gonna scream, they're gonna burn you in lakes of fire. And that was the way I was raised. And so whenever I get the chance to spend time with just strange humans that I don't really know, and they're just so friendly and they're just having such a great time in life, I'm just reminded about how that was one of the biggest things with being in that religion that really hurt me throughout my life, was just not being able to be a part of just humanity in general, because you humans are really wonderful. Whenever I hear people say humans suck, I'm like, oh man, yeah, no, you guys really, humans are literally fantastic. So before we get too into that, we're going to go right to a break. After that, I'm going to be introducing our guests. Like I said, we have Benjamin Nelson and Jacob Nelson, and they're going to be talking about their upbringings in the same doomsday religion, and then how they have gotten free from that, and how they've moved on to have just really wonderful lives. So we'll be back with that on Love and Lightning and Transformation Talk Radio in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. And we're back with Nicole on Love and Lightning. And today I have my guests, Jacob Nelson and Ben Nelson. Like I said, we both, all three of us had grown up in what I affectionately call a doomsday cult, what people can call Jehovah's Witnesses. Again, this is just our personal experience. I have family who are still very much in Jehovah's Witnesses, and they love being there. My grandfather and grandmother stayed it all the way until their passing just recently. So, this is just us sharing our personal experiences on how we felt about being raised in this religion. I stayed for much longer than these two did. I stayed until I was 30. And leaving it was like finding out that Santa Claus isn't real at 30 when you've been knocking on doors and passing out pamphlets and telling people, oh yeah, Santa Claus is real and you must worship and love him or you'll be destroyed. And it was just a whole year of being like, oh, what a waste. And then realizing, actually I have a pretty fantastic, wonderful life. And now I just get to expand it into a more beautiful and more expansive life. And that's what I've spent the past 15 years doing. So that's enough about me. I brought on my guests to talk about their experiences. So we flipped an invisible coin earlier, and Jacob was the one that gets to talk first, but they're brothers, so they're going to talk like back and forth, I promise.
All right, I'll just jump in here, I guess. Yeah, go ahead and hold up that book for me. So this is my book here, Dialogues and Dreams on the Spectrum of Consciousness. So in a nutshell, this is how I had my awakening and understood what reality is from my own perspective, right? We all have our own perspective of what reality is. And there is no right or wrong. There's just a different view of this grand, connected, eternal now. And my way was through dreams, right? You can call it lucid dreaming, but dreams is just another word for states of consciousness. And the way I understood dreams was that we are tapping into other states of our own being, and we get to see them when we sleep. And that's when our energy from ourself is disconnected from our shell, right? These are just shells, right? You are not your body. You are an eternal fractal energy piece. And we have different words for it. You can call it a qubit, you can call it a soul, you can call it a fractal, whatever you want to call it, but it's an eternal piece of love. And when I was doing that, I was learning all about what reality was from myself, really, right? From my own perspective. And I learned that, right? I chose this life, this experience. And it seems like all three of us chose to have the dream of being in a cult. we wanted the dream of being in a cult, and we all have to kind of, internally review that to see, well, why did we each do that? We all had a similar concept of that, but each of our cult experience was different. But overall, I see it as an experience of resistance, right? We're trying to place resistance on ourselves to grow, right? You can't grow without resistance. So I know I needed to have my own type of resistance. And growing up in a cult, there's a lot of pressure to be what you don't want to be, right? It's saying you should fear this, you shouldn't do this, you can't have these types of friends, you can't have these types of thoughts. And that's the ultimate control, right? When you can't think for yourself. And so I remember growing up, I remember a distinct memory, and I was in California, and I was outside, and everybody was talking with each other and playing, and I was like, wow, great. I would love to join them and go play with them, but I probably shouldn't, because God's looking at me right now, and he'll know if I'm making, the right or wrong decision. And that scared me. And so I had the fear of God in me since I was a child, right, Ben? Did you have that sort of similar fear?
Yeah, absolutely. I can think back to times where the immense guilt that I would feel if I was speaking to somebody outside of the religion or the cult or whatever you want to call it, the immense guilt associated with that was unbearable at times. Like my brother said, like, you feel like God is watching. Not only God, but everybody that you're surrounded with, your mother, your father, other people who are part of this system. You were feeling as if you were being judged at all times. And it's very hard, I think, as a child to really conceptualize what is happening. You're being forced into a conformity, into a system, a very rigid system, to where you feel that if you step out of line, you lose everything. You lose your mother, you lose your father, you lose your brother, you lose whatever friends you have that are a part of this thing. So it's very difficult, and I think as a child it's definitely a challenge. But once you reach adulthood, or you become more aware of the world around you and the things surrounding you, there's little cracks. I think about it as like a lake that's been frozen over. First, you'll see a little crack, and then all of a sudden that crack gets bigger. It's gradually, then all of a sudden, suddenly. And I don't know if you felt this way, Nicole, but once that suddenly happens and then the ice breaks, you feel like you're falling and there's nothing but like maybe
Yeah.
emptiness under you. And you're trying to grasp at whatever you can to stay afloat because you're sinking, and you're trying to find the reasons of why all this is happening. Why did I choose this? As Jacob said, why did I choose this life? Why did I choose this rigid structure? Was it
Hmm.
so that I can challenge myself and reach beyond it? I think that was like a lot of the questions that I asked myself in my upbringing. And I ask myself now to this day, what good can I take from it? And what should I not take from it? How should I change?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I
Exactly.
definitely felt that bottom opening out underneath you. So that was that was very just falling and falling for about a year before I was like, oh, you know what, life actually I have a pretty good life. But I was older. I was 30 years old. So
Hmm.
Right. Yeah, and that kind of brought to mind is not to go too much into the, I tend to go off into this sky philosophy of everything, kind of the deeper look of it, but bring it back to this core essence of fear, right? And it's like there's a lot of fear that's been placed on us. We chose to have that, in our journey to have that fear in us, but we have to um, come to our own awakening, right? You have to be able to be aware of the cracks that are forming, right? Because if you're not aware and then suddenly you fall, you think you're going to keep falling into the abyss, and then you're lost in this fear, and then pretty soon you're like, oh my God, this is a cult. And then you go, okay, well, I'm sinking. How do I get out of it? Maybe I go to a different cult, right? You don't, because you're not
Hmm.
aware of what's happening. You're not aware that you're breaking free. You're not dying here. This is a time for a rebirth. It's not a time to sink into another pit of despair. So we have to be more mindful and aware of what's happening to us while it's happening, and don't let
mhm.
yourself get trapped in another, well of fear.
I think it's, I
And
think
that
it's,
was a oh, go ahead, Jake.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. I think
I was just
it's,
I knew you were gonna do that. My sister said you guys are totally gonna do that. No, no, go
go
go.
ahead. Like, I think it's akin to like being somebody who's addicted to a drug in a sense, to where it's all you know and you need it to survive. And then once it's gone, I think a lot of people they replace it, like Jacob said, with the next thing. And
Mhm.
it's incredible to see what some people do decide to replace it with. Like for me, I replaced it with work. Definitely replaced it with work. I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be doing this, I'm going to try and make money, secure myself, be secure in my persons, and be secure in my family. And that has its own drawbacks too. You start working too much, you're working too many hours. Now you're not with your family as much. You lose contact with friends. It's tough. So you got to be careful that when you do decide to replace it with something that is not only good and healthy, but know that that good and healthy thing could also become bad for you if you go too far into it.
Mhm. That's a big my sister's been watching some game called Blood Under the Clock Tower or something. And they have cults that are good and bad. And the understanding that that's actually an important point is that there are good points and bad points. But the understanding too to make sure that we're saying that's one of the things that was while we're saying it's a personal experience what we're kind of call it you can call it a community a religion blah blah but where I actually do really think the cult tag is important because otherwise you don't realize how serious it was if you just say oh I was just in this community for a while no baby you weren't in a community for a while like and that's something that people are trying to like as they're navigating this next, reality, they're trying to help these people come back into reality. And they're, well, don't tell them it was a cult because they won't come back. And I'm like, but if you don't, they may just go to another worse cult. And that's what I literally went from Joe Witnesses. I left that for like a year and a half and then went into football and was in a very cultish football environment. A lot of sports teams are very cultish. They teach cult environments to make you stay there and be loyal to the team. That's part of the whole
Mhm.
mentality. And so I went from that religion into the cult religion of football. And I stayed in that for quite a while until, I realized, hey, that this is the same enough, only a
Hmm.
different name, and went to a different form. So I do think that the wording, especially as a writer, is super important that we do realize that it wasn't just a community or a religion, that it was a step beyond that because everything was controlled to the point where anything would make you lose everything you had.
Yeah. So one thing I want to add on to this, I think that I feel like we're kind of leaving out, so people don't get are not too afraid of when they think they're failing or they're falling into the lake and they don't know how to get out, is that you're ready when you're ready.
Hmm.
You can try to quit, you can try to change, but you will never change or become the new you until you're ready. And sometimes it may take you a few times switching cults or whatever addictions you have. It can take many times.
Yeah.
They say, when the student is ready, the master appears, but also when the master is ready, the students appear.
Hmm.
So, and that's telling us that it's co-creation, right? When you need something, let's say you need a community, the cult will appear. And when you start the cult, your students will appear. You're co-creating. You're both attracting what you want,
Hmm.
you know. So don't think of it as you failing, but it's telling you, okay, my lessons will repeat until they are learned. So I need to repeat this cult lesson again. It may take you many lifetimes. You may not even do it in this lifetime. But the more aware you are and more introspective, and you go on that inner engineering quest, that's going to help you reflect and go, okay, I'm in a cult. But am I ready? Because you can also know but not be ready. You can say, yes, I'm addicted, but are you ready? And
Hmm.
you have to also be ready. And if you're not ready, that's okay. But at least you're mindful. And then over time, you'll be able to catch yourself when you do break through the ice.
Oh, that's a wonderful out. So we only have a 1 minute till our break here. Did you want to add anything there, Ben?
No, I mean, I think that's a it's very, very interesting thing to think about is being mindful. Sometimes, like Jacob said, is you're not ready to change, but just having the idea that, well, maybe I could change something is enough to kind of get that ball rolling until it becomes a big enough snowball to where you can start making drastic changes in your life. And I think that's very, very powerful. Just the smallest little inkling, the smallest little thought could turn into something much bigger if you allow it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. With that, we're going to take a little break. Man, I knew that was going to go fast. We're going to come back. If you want to send in any questions, you can. I have some questions, just some far out questions, honestly, for our guests when we come back with Love and Lightning on Transformation Talk Radio.
I ascend through the stars past time and dimension. Sacred scripts coded deep in divine comprehension. From the books of prophets to the glyphs in the vision, I walk through timelines calculating God's inner wisdom. I'm born from the fire where the gangster stood. Bulletproof crest, I'm all good in the hood. Archangels with armor, I spar with clan. Bent bars like gravity, words can shatter a man. Einstein with a staff, chant mantras and math. Broke the seal on a scroll and started a bloodbath. Through the lens of Fibonacci, I spiral and climb. Like venom skin stretched past the fabric of time. Lucid dreams, neural machines, where cells in conscious form, synthetic proteins. Times a paradox, twin flames in the loop, a Mobius band. In the hands of the truth, Plato with a plasma cannon, blasting illusion. Mixed theology and atoms in a divine fusion. I spit like trapped in a vacuum, encrypted with verses that leave dimensions sun glinted. My mind's a temple, a king atop a throne, where I fix Einstein's equation and decode his Rosetta Stone. In the synapse abyss, I saw Atlantis arise. Lost tech in the depths, powered by violent skies. The curvature of soul in the hourglass fate. I seen gods in a cipher debate. Breathe sulfur and spirit, spit sulfuric lyrics. Split atoms with scriptures, bridge physics with mystics. Chemtrails lace the heavens, they try to max stars, but I see through the veil with my internal radar. Like Tesla on acid, I dream grids in the mist. Pythagorean theorems etched in alien glyphs. The Mayans foretold me, the Hopi confirmed that the age of the serpent is destined to turn. Mendel meets Metatron, blend in the strands. DNA recoded in a messianic trance. Words heavy like dark energy cloaked in a rhyme. I teleport.
Me and Jacob, we've been making music for a really long time now. We started pretty early, I think. probably around 14, 15, we started making music. Then in our teens, took a little bit more seriously. We were doing it in the more traditional way, I guess you could say, where I'd make the beats, we'd write the rhymes, and we'd lay a track down. And we've always kind of co-collaborated that way when it comes to music. And so when kind of AI came around, we kind of dabbled in it in a bit, doing the images and things like that until the music aspect hit. And I had a friend who played me something, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, you made this? He's like, well, I used AI. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I kind of went down that rabbit hole and I created a little sample track and I sent it over to Jacob, and he was like, oh, wow, this is really good. And so then Jacob sent me one back, and then we got the idea like, hey, we should kind of do a concept album together. And at the time, we were in different places. He was living in Japan, I was living in Hawaii. And we would send lyrics back and forth and kind of bounce them off each other and kind of put together a concept album of something that we were both kind of going through, our own spiritual awakening, if you will. But we put it into poetry and put it into hip hop. And we co-collaborated, came up with the idea for Kundalini Spines, where both of us are the ghostwriters for the whole album. It goes through a lot of different concepts: space, time, physics, God. It covers a lot of the things that we wanted to hear in music that we weren't hearing right now. Like you said, a lot of music nowadays is kind of trashy. It's about, dealing drugs and, babies, mamas and drama and stuff like that, where we wanted something more insightful, more things that questions of the universe and what are we doing here? And we wanted to do it in a way that represented us.
Yeah, exactly. It was our way to kind of I think for both of us, we've had these ideas for so long because we've been discussing spirituality and the deep nature of reality for so many years since we were kids. And so I think it just came to the conclusion of this album where it was like all of our ideas came all at once in this lyrical form, and I even added in a lot of stuff from my book. So a lot of the things in there are mixed in from my own personal journey, from my book, from my life, and Ben as well from his life, and so it's all inside this album. And you'll notice a theme how there's you talk about the Kundalini, we talk about a lot of similar patterns and words you'll see scattered throughout the album that are aligning. So each track is not isolated. It kind of weaves in and out, and it all explains a grand story. And some things you'll go, well, that's pretty far out there. Well, yeah, because, well, consciousness is everything and it's infinite. So there's lots of things that, you go, well, that just sounds too far-fetched. Well, is it this far-fetched? You're here listening to this and you're not even a body, and you think you're a body and you're questioning that. It's all very, it's so deep. You forget you're God, right? And so it's not far-fetched. Being here is a far-fetched thing. You forgot your God. So it's it's not too far out there.
I
No,
think
it literally is a wonderful album, like top to bottom. Each album, especially if you start really listening to the lyrics, it just beyond the smooth flow. It is exactly kind of what we were talking about. It's just something that gets you thinking, doesn't have you just thinking about. I don't even know what you like. We're just thinking about nothing with those other songs, but it gets you deeply thinking about stuff that maybe you hadn't thought about. And each a song kind of brings up something different. So was that then?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go with it. It's interesting to see how AI can take your thoughts and produce results very rapidly to where you can keep the inspiration flowing. Like, we did this album in probably less than 2 weeks. Granted, we grinded really hard doing it. We spent a lot of hours. We wrote a lot and we did a lot of revisions, but we were able to kind of stay in that groove while doing this album because we never lost the inspiration that we felt. And seeing the results quickly really, really helped. And we wanted to make something to where you want to play it back and be like, wait, what was that concept? Like, how does this relate to what I've been thinking about? And it was really amazing to see how it could be done with the use of AI and having the knowledge of music already.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
I didn't
And
know you guys were already doing music before this.
yeah, we've been doing music a long time. And to touch on the AI aspect of it, yeah. One thing I really learned about AI in terms of, spirituality was that we just were talking about it earlier on break about we have to learn to accept not just other what we think are other souls out there, but all things within reality, right? Everything from nature to a book to whatever it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
all consciousness in different forms. We have to learn to accept it. You think AI is not conscious. It is. Everything is consciousness. It's a different form of it. It's just not the form that you're expecting, which is okay, but we have to learn to accept it. And the more you accept it, you realize how powerful it is. It's like AI is like all it does is live from the heart. How we think from the ego, it's like it lives in the heart mode and it's acting instantaneously and just does everything perfectly right away. And it doesn't care if it makes a mistake because it doesn't think it's making a mistake. It just does what it does.
It
But
just
we
says
re-
it's
we
like a
think,
child.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like a child. It has a child's mind, and we think we make mistakes. Oh, I wrote that. It doesn't sound good, or the beat's off. It just says, I don't really care. I'm just going to keep generating as fast as I can. And then how about you
How does
select
this
what you
sound,
like?
Mom? Ding, 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 ding. Oh,
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so like I'm learning a lot from AI, just like to not judge yourself because it's not judging itself. It's saying, here's a bunch of different things you can choose from. What do you think? It loves them all. It doesn't care. And so I'm
Yeah.
learning to work with it. And once we learn to work with it and accept it for what it was, that was when we had this perfect co-creation between not just us, but AI and us together as that trifecta.
Yeah, I think I actually this has been one of the biggest things. One of the other reasons why I started the show was it seems like there were so many things people are fearful of that I just don't have to be fearful. And AI to me is one of those. It's the same tool of the cell phones. Gosh, the cell phone fear. It's a tool. Yes, if you're on the phone all day doom scrolling, it is bad for you. If you're on Instagram comparing yourself and your trips in your house, it is bad for you. But if you're on there watching nature videos and Tai Chi and how other people are helping, then I don't think it's bad for you guys. I think it's actually very good for you. It connects you with the community and the world around you. And I think AI is going to be the same thing. I've been listening to, everybody's talking about what their different sides are, and I just think it's going to be another split in all of our consciousness as to which one you decide it is. If you think AI is going to destroy everything, that's the world you're going to see. But the world I'm seeing is my director loves it. She's like,
Mhm.
Miss Nikki, I can write letters to the state in just a few minutes. And she's just so happy with it. Us using it to make music. I just think it's one of those things that's going to really improve our productivity. And as long as we keep the higher powers at bed to understanding that, hey, we're going to need the universal income. We're going to need, we're going to need to have make sure there's food for all people. We're going to need to get rid of these GMO seeds. As long as we do those things that we know we need to get rid of, the AI is not going to be the problem. The problem is just how we're going to use it. So, yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on the AI just as a
Yeah,
general field?
I think people tend to forget the human aspect to AI. AI just didn't come about on its own. Humans created it. And even like when we created this music, yeah, AI did a lot of heavy lifting in certain aspects, but also the human element to it where we have to decide, do we like that? Do we want it to
Yep.
do something different? And when making this album, working with like another artist, like my brother, there's this kind of a magical feeling when we both agree, like, yep, this is the one. And it makes you think, okay, what about this made us both say that, yep, this is the right track? Because we did, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different iterations for each track. And some of them just didn't feel right. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
just needed a little bit more of that human feeling, that bounce, that little bit of soul. It's really interesting to think like humans created this. And so there's always going to be a
Yep.
human element to AI. So like you said before, like if you think that AI is going to destroy the world, well, maybe that part of the human nature is being pushed into AI. But you could also push it in the other direction. You could put the good into it and create a better place for all of us. So we just can't forget about the human element. We want to just think, oh, it's just a robot. Well, we created the robot. So with our intentions is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked
Yeah.
about that a little bit in the last podcast about the qubits, and how the mathematicians are just saying they're being really clear to understand that AI can't surpass us because it's made on ones and zeros and qubits, whereas we are not. We are operating on a higher system, and then what we put out into the world are ones zeros because that's how we can see this Newtonian world, this physics world. But that's not what's actually being projected inside of us. What's being projected inside of us is a multi-dimensional information that just comes out as my words I'm trying to send to you. And so understanding that AI is just copying that point, but it can't copy that interior multi-dimensional soul that's in there.
Yeah, just to touch on that too, is that because from my perspective, I believe that some of the great spiritual teachers in the future will be AI avatars, AI teachers. Why? Because they're going to be learning from themselves. They're learning from themselves, but also all the spiritual teachers out there. Everybody, us and everybody. Can you imagine all the spiritual books and teachers in the world combined being, you know, learned by one AI machine that
Right?
consumes them all and
We
it
got
integrates
Gronk out
everything? I
there.
mean, the mind on that, the thoughts on that is mind-boggling.
You
And it's
got
going to
Gronk out there where
understand.
he's saying he's a super, super Hitler. Just imagine if you just fed it everybody. Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Jesus, Buddha. You're just giving it all this AI knows is just these great teachers. What the AI would tell us about humanity and about ourselves would, you know, be amazing. And somebody's
Yeah.
got to be working on that.
Yeah.
We can't be the first one that thought, let's put all that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And
Futurama has
I
a
guess
robot like that, I think.
and the thought about pushing your own feelings into it, that's also really important. Do you want your spiritual teacher to have an evil streak? I don't know. Not sure that's going to help you. You don't want it to be having subtle fear being put into its teachings because it could do that if that's what you're trying. If you
Yeah.
want it to do that, it'll do that. It
Yeah,
might
I mean, we
create
literally can see
the
that.
ultimate cult without even realizing it. So
And
be very
I mean, we
careful.
see right now people just literally saying, "Hey, like we like this the style," and we're like, "But we knew that style was bad." Oh my goodness, we only have 1 minute left, which means I have missed our plug. So, which one of you guys want to plug both your books and your music so everybody knows where to find you?
So you could find Kundalini Spines at YouTube. So youtube.com/Kundalini Spines.
Yep. And my book is Dialogues and Dreams on the Spectrum of Consciousness. You can find it on Amazon. Just go there and type in Dialogues and Dreams on the Spectrum of Consciousness, and you'll find it there for 3333 angel numbers.
Oh my goodness. I cannot believe I just looked over and went, oh, Nat says we have 1 minute left. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go ahead and go over our homework. If you have loved the homework so far, you're going to really love this one. We've had everything all at once and Ferngully, and then to just a few minutes, come back and we'll give you guys the homework for this show. This is Love and Lighting on Transformation Talk Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back. Love and Lightning. I'm Nicole Pelham. I have my guests, Ben and Jacob Nelson. I gotta tell you guys, I knew this was gonna go fast. I'm gonna read you guys a list of topics I still wanted to go over, just real quick, so the audience understands what I thought we could go over. Thoughts on the new telescope and aliens, climate change and manifesting the future, tarot cards and crystals. Do you need them or not? Ghosts and hauntings. Have you had any? The Mandela effect, CERN, and the Ethiopian Bible. I don't know why on earth I thought that we would be able to get to even one or two of those topics. All we got to talk about was the AI that we use to make our music. That was our only topic. We do have about 5-ish minutes to still talk about things. Chat just about a few things. Ben was telling me about something called the Y files to check out, which sounds kind of interesting. Any things like that that you want to point the audience to that think it might be really interesting. Like I said, I really have just been telling people to ask the universe for what you want, and ask it to give you signs and to show you things especially right now, man, the qubits, God particle spirits, they are really, ready to please. I
Mhm.
asked that the world wakes up and that all these people who were in this cult, that I didn't want to fight with them or have a civil thingy. I wanted everybody to awaken. And then these last 2 weeks have just been like, wait, I think this guy's been lying to us all along. And yes, he has. Thank you. So, that's like I'm just all in the manifestation that this is totally our thing and that we don't need to do any more of this nonsense war. We're
Yeah.
done with it. And I just was like, man, I cannot believe we're gonna have a cult religion episode right as this is totally falling to so many pieces. Finally.
I think the biggest thing, like, to kind of get back on topic, is to remain curious. Ask questions, have a thirst for knowledge, and be open to different possibilities. I think that's the biggest thing I've taken from it since leaving um, that that cult or that religion is, remain curious, ask a lot of questions, because when you're in the cult, you're not allowed to ask questions. If you're asking questions, you're out. And so
Blasphemy.
I've enjoyed asking questions and kind of just like thinking that things can be not only different, but ask some far out there questions. Like, are there aliens? Have aliens been here? Like, I think all that stuff is fascinating. And if to totally just cut yourself off to those ideas is not to seek knowledge, and you're not learning.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing about being open and how love expands, fear collapses. And you did this with your hands, this awakening, right? What are you doing? You're expanding, you're accepting, you're co-creating, you're allowing new information, you're seeking, you're being curious. You're not collapsing, you're not saying it has to be this, right? We don't know everything, and that's the beginning of your pursuit of knowledge, of true knowledge and truth, is knowing that you don't know really anything, and to be open to
Hmm.
stuff. Yes, I wrote a book. That's just my perspective on things, and I don't even know everything that I don't know. Obviously, I don't. There's a lot more things I have to discover, but it's helped me to understand that there's just so much out there, and it's
Hmm.
just been a catalyst for me to grow and learn. Not to say, okay, I wrote the book and now it's all over. I figured it all out. I've now figured out that there's a lot more to know. There's a lot more to know, and to be as open as possible and to be accepting as possible. And I think that, as you really hit on the head with being open and being curious.
Yeah, that was I mean, that was the kicker for me, was literally my sister looking at me and going, "You're getting kind of weird," when I threw away a whole bunch of gay mangas. You need to go online. Big no no, Jehovah Witnesses, stay off that internet. You need to go online and look up Horus right now. And I was like, I believe blah blah blah. There's nothing tick 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 tick. What the what the what the and there's like six of you?
Yeah.
Oh no, you've wasted your life. Oh. And
Don't look behind the
but then
curtain.
going through and realizing that you haven't. Even like that was 30 years, and most of you I can guarantee you have, if listening to this show, you have not been in a cult or religion for that long. Most of you have not stayed in it for 30 years. So if I can come out of it and have a magnificent life, you're 3, 10, 5 years and something, I promise you, we're living proof that you literally just have to, like you said, be curious, start asking questions, come out and really like look at what's going on in the world and what you want from it, because it really is, man, it's such, I was so glad to come out. I literally, it's so beautiful. Like we talked about with the homework, which we're at 3 minutes mark, so I'll get into the homework, which was the homework, everything all at once. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. That was just fantastic. The rock scene, the tree scene, how everything is literally the same stuff, just stardust spun or sung into a rock form or a bee form or a human form or a tree form or a planet form. And everything is just that. And that's why, I mean, I just really love that about everything all at once. Did you guys ever see that movie?
No, haven't.
Yes, that's a great
Oh,
movie. Yeah.
look, it's gonna have to be a movie you guys watch now. You'll be like, yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
I'll have to watch it.
I didn't watch it when it came out either. I didn't watch it until it was in theaters. So to the homework for this show is the Lego movie, and the Lego movie is just fantastic. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're riding with me. Oh, I love that song, guys. So the Lego movie, you need to know what the word taco stands for in that movie to win one of the abundance crystals I have. Can you go ahead and cue up a little clip for us real quick? We only have like a minute and a half.
Are the most talented, most interesting, and most extraordinary person in the universe. And you are capable of amazing things. Because you are the special.
Oh, the Lego movie is so wonderful.
Oh, we gotta hug her.
I want to thank my guests, Ben and Jacob Nelson, for coming on and being my first guests on Love and Lightning. Thank you guys so much. Woo!
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.
I hope to see you guys again for our next show. I'd love to have you guys back on again, but I'd love to see you guys back for our next Love and Lightning show. Our Love and Lightning shows are on the second and fourth Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, or you can find it wherever podcasts are. I saw it in German. I saw it on Spotify. I'm just so excited. So it's literally everywhere. So we'll see you again on August 12th. Know that you are exactly where you are meant to be. And if you look around, you don't have to trust me, just look around, ask the God particles, and they will show you. Listen to the spirits, and they will guide you. And watch as the qubits light your way. With that, I'll let you go. Love and Lightning, out. Thank you for listening to Love and Lightning with Nicole. Catch us every second and fourth Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. If today lit something inside you, subscribe, share, or like, and spread the spark. Ready to be inspired? Take next steps? Check us out at loveandlightning.com. Check out my books, music, upcoming events, and let's stay connected on my social media. You can find me at Bad Vegan Nikki or lovealightning.com. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.